Sharanam Gacchami, Dhammam Sharanam Gacchami, Sangham Sharanam Gacchami. Welcome to the Dharma television. You are watching, following Rinpoche with the Sangngak Tenzin Rinpoche, teaching on mind training. The teaching will be hosted from Monday and Friday from 3 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. Now I request Rinpoche to give the teaching, and Simjen Namji Samba Tang Loi Chita Chita Var Chijung Tumung Tekpai Chuji Kolo Korto So
Domingo Barda Lama La Nyamne Chukur Tavi Mokichi Donjir Gombe Shinla Nyang Lampu Rikbarza Che Wanjin Tobar Sho Ola Sutani Ta Namba Tamchila Yang Chir Jerbala Gawuchons.
I'm happy to see you all again, once again.
Ta Terang Yang Tani nga sondani katsang kongni ma daji lobjung gurambande tani shigayore tege nangni gangsagore daji nga so tarwi ge panyun sene terangyang garsana tege kortela ma te sichishina tani samsongs.
So previously we have been talked about how to train the mind and practice on the training of the mind and so forth. And today I thought of giving you introduction or the teaching on the benefit of the liberation.
Tatani nga so karsena tani 당 코르비 nila ngarang so semjin korbi ge nila ta ji dingil mambo ji yoba teni kanse gore ta ji kongni indur dibanga so kongden do sambare tende ji di taso 당 korbi ge nila tendre ge dingil mambo ji yodi taso teni ngaso ta kar donde nyer gogre sananga so kasang kongde shiba na je ngarang so gun dopate dewarowa tende indi taso ta dewa nguni te ta kani tobgunde samni tende 지달리라 지 로지 장용디 타서 다다 드니 대화 문이 때가서나 아니 타르위게 람델란 로고근데 서와 아니 타르위게 람람 만로나 드니 가랑서 다 대화 양탁바세고나 대화 든데 문이지 땅가랑서라 니긴데 세나다 드니 다지 녀사 든지 지 문드 삼니 든지 하고고 그랬어.
So previously we also talked about the suffering nature of the samsara, and we also talked about the variety of the suffering that were experienced by the different individuals and beings and so on. And so now we all are aware that we all wish for happiness. We do not want to have any pain and suffering. So still when we talk about happiness, we need the happiness that will last forever. So what is the how can we bring the happiness? Then the real or the genuine happiness can be attained through the liberation. So there is no other way that we can have the happiness, the genuine happiness, without having the attainment of the liberation.
Oh yeah, tende indi tende ngaso ji lo do namba je la so ba ge lo jang ya dang tende ji ngundum bum nga ge ji tende ge nyamlen ji nang ni ro nyamlen tende nang ya to cha sang de gar ge che dre sena tende gar sena ota tarwa tobi ge che dre sena tarwa tobi ge che de tende me ni nyamlen je yo ba da tende ji re.
All the stages of the practices, such as four thoughts which turn the mind into Dharma, and also 500,000 preliminary practices, all the practices are actually lead us to attain Buddhahood or the liberation. So the main aim for all those practices such as the common and uncommon preliminary practices and the mind training practices, all are aimed for attaining Buddhahood.
Lobjung Tayang Tanita Kaseji Partanga so Lojung Chegore Sajiorwa, Tende in the Tazo Karsana Chingta, Uni Naching Korwala, Shimba Dogogrova, Korwala Tani, Shimba Menerva, Otanga, Dosate Tarwig Lam Latini Karsana, Tarwi Lam Landrogin, Yananga Devachang Shankam Latanita, Tachi the Ngatelan Drogins, Tankorigin in the Langa Shengo Sajitang, and it and Chagos at Savani me, some Nitaninga, Chasant and put them Jegmin, some Nitara. So when
we talk about the limit of the mind training or the limit of the practice of the four thoughts which turn the mind into Dharma, how can we measure that whether I have already enough practice for this or not? That it will be decided by whether your mind actually able to turn into the Dharma completely or not. For example, let's say if you have a really thinking about only liberation or the attainment of the enlightenment, you don't really care much about the samsaric works and the mundane works and so on and so forth, then you can say that is the actually you have kind of had experience of the mind training or the thoughts which form thoughts which turn the mind into Dharma practices are already enough.
Teni karsena tarong chi kansugure chi khorwi ge nindela teni kansugure tangala phantoya tarong mangbo chi yo ngala goya mangbo chi yo samne tendre ge karsena teni samlo chi shichembo chi teni lagde ge yona ta tarong karsena teni lobjong che gobe ge tare serwa chi rema toksu chera soso ge jetela teni lobjong yakbo chi chagba ina tang khorwi ge nindela nga tarong karsena chi che goya mangbo chi yo ngala phantoya mangbo chi yo samji 그 갈때니 든데게 현착대 파 동로그래 든데 독송바 있나 다 가르세나 지 타르게 람란 로얄랑 그 릴하보 작가랬더니
so our practice of the mind training is very good, then we do not really will have so much attachment or clinging to this world, and we don't have any attachment to do such and such things. I need to help this, I need to benefit that, and so on and so forth. You don't really have so much clinging to this life. The clinging and attachment for this life's work and name and so forth is actually already renounced if you have a good practice on the four thoughts which turn the mind into Dharma or the mind training practice.
Tende indita 공도 가르스나 지 거와 딩흑 그람진데 시 세야 되겠다니까 다 지금 거wan 다다가 돼 공서 그랬다 딩흑 그람진바 다 딘데 찍되니까 나 하고송에나다 딩흑데 다지 샘진 상막은 녹음해봐 찍봐 임바 상말란 도바데 가 대화 임바드님 딩흑데 녹음해와 딘데 이나 당 코라 딩흑 그람진바 니시하 거기 다 다른 안들라 고야 뭐지요 안들라 되니까 톱고 야 당 대경아 판토야 뭐지연 어떤지 삼다바이나 다때 가르스나 다다 찍더니 되게요 말아 왔던지 인터서 되게 되니 가르스는 임종야 포 작아요 말이요 어떤지 인디 그 삼도도 파 장야게 쳤더니 가서 롭중 세야 돼 제기요랬어.
So by reflecting on the general sufferings of the entire samsara, then you will have a conviction that the whole samsara is nothing but it is a suffering nature. When you have a strong conviction in the mind that samsara nature is suffering, then you naturally will have some kind of the willingness to attain Buddhahood or the liberation, and you will not have so much attachment and clinging to this life, and you don't really care so much about this life's the work and so forth, and you only care about the liberation. So in that case, you really will have a genuine sense of renunciation in your mind. So if you do not really care about this life's fame, reputation, and the works and so on, they don't care about that. They only care about the liberation.
오땅아더니 타르와 토구근데 삼발라더니 가르스나 든디게 타르위그 로 약보 지제라 당보 타르위 바인세야 대양더니 하고 고근데가 타르위게 바인데 강서 그래 하고와데 베갈 첨부지그래 서로한테네 베나 소소라가서 그래 지 짜첨부 그더니 rumbuche게 던저거더니 가르스나 집자 베마서 른당 첨부지 여바 있나 대 강서 그래 대가 른당 때 응오마 시송아 있나 드니 반도요 말와 어때다버지 가르스나 타르와세야 때 그런 듣나 연나용 타르와세야 됐더니 간저 지 임바 콜라 가르스나 윤된 간저 지 여바라와 어디서 가르스나 드니
We also must know that what is the liberation, what is the enlightenment. For example, let's say if you have very precious things in your hand, if you do not really know the value of that particular things, then you will not really care about this precious thing, even though it is very, very precious. Same manner that in order for us to attain attain liberation or the enlightenment, then we must know the benefit of the liberation or the enlightenment. Otherwise, we will not going to have the will to attain Buddhahood.
근데 이제다 지 다르위 그 람세야 대양 가르스나 베 다르위 그 남데 자첨보지로 왔더니 자첨보든데 드니 가르스나 가서 가상 공도 시바 남진 지 상금세야 될 베나 답비 상금양 망보요래 마답비 상금양 망보요래 세니 시바임바 어떤데 다당가 소양 가르스나 드니 지 상금지라 요러와 어떤데 인데 타서 따더니 가르스나 어따 답비 상금세나 드니 간데지그레 답비 상금도 솔라다 연된 간데지거스 나 차성가서 시향 타고 말아 갈스나 상컴다 당한테니 갈스나 든지 그 연된 대패 거랑 삼진매치 참매바 든지로와 연된 거랑 삼진매치 받든지 인다서 마소 람성 차성대 하고 타고 말했어.
So when you talk about liberation, of course, the benefit or the qualities of the liberation is vast, something that we cannot comprehend everything in our mind. However, previously we also talked about the pure land and impure land. Within the pure land, of course, there are countless number of the pure land, and when we try to understand the qualities of the pure land, of course, we won't be able to understand everything, but we can only understand limited to our own mental capacity. In the same way, when we talk about the liberation, also the qualities of the liberation is something that we cannot comprehend everything in our mental capacity.
타이바레스라 벤 타이바세나 가르 답배상금 벤 망보로와 드니 가르스나 지기다 니다 정강가 솔레야 요바 딘디직 말레스 벤 타이바레 옛나야 딘디기 상금 타이바 망보 지 요비기 나니 가서 가성 것도 가르치 바르스노 대화장기 상금 세로와든 대화장기 상금데 가르스나 상지당 정접 셈바 상금 타이나 직비가 딘디가 가르스나 양더니 흥압질 망보 나야르 대화장기 상금 세야들라 가르스나 수수지어도성 제트거리 릴하고 지발린 탑사가 던르게 상금 드니다 무서르게 자주 연던던데 요바지그레 세네던데 드네 학바 줘봐 오다 던디 나사지그레스.
So when we talk about the pure land, of course there are countless number of the pure land. So of course all the pure land we won't be able to understand or to comprehend in our mind. However, previously we have discussed on the Sugadeva, or the pure land of the Buddha Amitabha. The pure land of the Buddha Amitabha is one of the one of the pure land which were praised by the many Buddha and Bodhisattvas, because Buddha Amitabha Pure Land is one of the most easiest way to reborn into that Pure Land, and even the ordinary person also can take rebirth into the Pure Land. That's why it is said to be praised by the many Buddha and Bodhisattva to that Buddha Amitabha Pure Land.
Tene Sanji Opa make Shankam Tela Kansagura Tachi Pakpa Segarwata, Susuchi, Watan Pakpas, and Papa Konachi, Tenikarsana, Maton Romatria, the Nirevesana, the Nimares, Carresana, Susuchi, Yang Tatanga, Susuchi, Ura, Inayang Karsana, Tatani, Devachang, Shankam, Yila Chen, Obamela, Survata, Telandra, Tapatang, Koron, Dumbat and the Uni, Tabatang, Dumbat and the Tayung de Tasso, then Susuchi, Otozo Tamji and Consagura, Tani, Tandan Samjika Yang, the Jet of Grace, and that and Lava and the song rest.
So the Buddha Amitabha Pure Land is not only land for those noble beings or the ayah, but it is also the pure land for the ordinary people or ordinary individual also can be take rebirth into the Buddha Amitabha Pure Land. Because the ordinary person or the ordinary individual can reflect on the pure land of the Buddha Amitabha and meditating on the Buddha Amitabha and understanding on the qualities of the Buddha Amitabha Pure Land. By doing so, then of course the individual also can reborn into the Buddha Amitabha Pure Land.
Tendre that Devachang Shankam la Tachi Machivi Kaksagura, Tatela Carson, and Martok Pass, and Lopar Pass, and Tetsum said that the Zot Tenipa Seguyres, the Zokarsana, Devachang Shankam la Tenichivi Kaksaguna, or that is.
So there are hindrances or the obstacle for individual to take rebirth into the Buddha Amitabha Pure Land is one is that the not knowing, and other one is misunderstanding, and then third one is having doubt on the Buddha Amitabha Pure Land. If you have these three, then of course you will not be able to reborn into the Buddha Amitabha Pure Land.
Oh yeah, Tindi Tata Kong the Shibi Tindi Garsana, Marto Lortota, Tetsum Sim, the Tenipa Sally Dalina, the Nikonsagro Tachi, Devachang Shankamla, Jivi, Tendriga Sosoga, Gelatini, Tepa Tembu, Dumbarwa, Tabatan Dumbani, Segret, Tendi Tanden, Tendriga Garsi, Yopa Sam Chigayam, Tata Kong the Shiba Nojin, Devachang Shankam de la Garsanatani, Jeturi. So
those three obstacles, such as not knowing about the Buddha Amitabha Pure Land and misunderstanding and having doubt on the Buddha Amitabha Pure Land, if you eliminate all these three obstacles and just by having faith and devotion into the Buddha Amitabha Pure Land alone individual can reborn into the Buddha Amitabha Pure Land. And it is not something just what we only saying it, but it is also mentioned in the many sutra. By having faith in the Buddha Amitabha Pure Land, you will be able to reborn into the Buddha Amitabha Pure Land.
Oh yeah, Tatani Garsana, Zotekar Tabatani, Tembu, Yichia, Tendrigogatani Garsana, Consagura Tachi, Martopa. Tozopa say on the tasso, Martopa, Tang Loportopa, Tendreji say on the tasso, so Semganoni, Yichi Tembu, Tendriangres, Yichi Tembu, Chichine, oh, that they are Jang Shankam Sene Garsana, Tendriga Garsana, Opa make a tipchi little bit, Sachimbu, the Nidrosachin de Serva, Zetinitela Garsana, Soso Semgananga Tapachi, the Nindumbachi, or Tendreji on the tasso Garsana, that Tega Garsana, teni tsogdang sunam yang jachembo teni dagarang go korang damdroya sangdroya ta korang dendreji yeng yores.
So what you need is that you need a faith and confidence. And how can you build confidence in yourself is by understanding the pure land of the Amitabha in your mind, understanding on that, and then by understanding the qualities of the Buddha Amitabha Pure Land, then you will also develop faith and devotion, and based on that you will also accumulate merits out of that.
Tene tedang garsana dewachang ta soso gewi tsawa gersa gar ji sakpa yina to zo changma te garsana ni dewachang shangkamla jia ge tene garsana jetela tene kangso gore ngowa che go gro ngowa che atang tendre ge garsana rete yina yang chorong ge jila tata kangso gore ta ji tata shiba nang jing ge tendre ge tepa tempo tang tenden taba tang teni dewa chang ge shangkum la tang ngi par tan rogen sam je ndemba tan di tempo je tende ang di taso teni tendre ge teni tenden tela teni dalina so ja chembu yang ta garang ge zongro ya je gra watne tendre inde taso dewa chang ge jibi ge jibje se ya tang karsana chin dor dina taba tang ndemba ni gi nang la korong teni din ro ge ba tendre je gres 대형 시디 작파이나 다 가서나 되는 가서 공도 시바 나지 즉 답아 코나게 나왔더니 영 여봐 어떤지 그랬어.
Also in your day-to-day life, whatever the major or minor the merits that you accumulated or the virtue that you have accumulated, immediately you should dedicate to the Buddha Amitabha Pure Land, so that I may able to reborn into the Buddha Amitabha Pure Land. And based on that dedication, then also you need, as I mentioned earlier, that you need confidence and faith and aspiration to reborn into the Buddha Amitabha Pure Land. And as long as you have the faith and aspiration and confidence in these three in your mind, and then naturally, as I mentioned earlier, that you will accumulate merits, and based on accumulation of the merits, then you will also able to reborn into the Buddha Amitabha Pure Land.
Tende indi tene soso sem ganang la kansa gure tapa tang ti jinda tene dewa cheng shankam de yilatun sanji opak mela tapa chine tende tapa tang demba yang yang de yang sem ganang la ti jinda kono che ya de pe ke chimbo jigres te ke chimbo re te karsana sanji tamche lan choba yang re la rang karsana choksok drubjang chasang de ti chakre tende indi ti jinda sem ganang la kansa gure yang de tenden tene karsana tene che ya de oda ke chimbo ndos.
And also in your day-to-day life, you should always remember the Buddha Amitabha Pure Land, and then try to develop faith to the Buddha Amitabha Pure Land, and make a strong aspiration prayer that I may reborn into the Buddha Amitabha Pure Land. If you always do so, and then that is also equivalent of making offerings to the Buddha and Bodhisattva. And then if that is become like the equivalent to the making offerings to the Buddha and Bodhisattva, then you naturally will also accumulate merits out of that practice as well.
동섬 탐제 가르스나 다지 세르다 우당 림보체 라 속바든디 그 강이달리나 강서거라 지 쳬바 팔와 델리장 강서거라다 소 델리장 강서거라다 드니 산지 오바메당 대야장 그 상금라서 왔다다 공도 시바나진 일라탄이나 던던 양양 지바데 가르스나 드니 소남 제와 임바 근데 송요레스 다 지금 동섬세 아마고난 잠빌랑세나 하고 그러와 지금 잠빌랑데 가르스나 셈글라 소거름부지 납든 든르고 강에달은 초바 팔와지죠 소소 셈근나라더니 가르스나더니 이단 다바 템보 든지 가르스나더니 오땅아티지라 든 대화장게 상금라더니 로양 론도 근든바 든지 다바텔라 가르스나티 그더니 손남 자체바든지 송요레스
let's say the entire the 3,000 world filled with all the precious jewel, if you're not able to understand entire 3,000 world, but let's say it's only this world is filled with all the precious gem, and then you make offering to the Buddha and Bodhisattva, and comparing this marriage out to the just having the devotion or the faith to the Buddha Amitabha Pure Land, and making aspiration to reborn into the Buddha Amitabha Pure Land all the time, and then the just having aspiration prayer, aspiration to reborn into the Buddha Amitabha Pure Land would create more marriage than just making offerings of the 3,000 worlds filled with all the gems. So that much the marriage that you can accumulate it through the aspiration prayer to reborn into the Buddha Amitabha Pure Land, as well as having faith into the Buddha Amitabha Pure Land.
Tene ngarang so chi kansa kore ngangkom tenre ke tunme bi ge nam tok chon tenir wa 어떤지 지다나 તની તેલા 냥보 강양 요마레스 아니 딘디 마염바 તની 지 강 대화장 그 성금 예라타니 다테시바나진 따바당 덤바트니 템보 진 양양 단단도 소셈 그나가 찔리 지바이나 단 최신 자성 그 고쪽은 저바지야 마 진바당야 성마 그 고쳐야 그 딘디가 가르스나 수는 박다메바 어떤지 지그레스.
So if you're able to have faith and aspiration to reborn into the Buddha Amitabha Pure Land, if you're able to do that, practice in your day-to-day life, and that will become